Hello, I'm Zoe. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am going over the books that I read in December, which there were 9 of them, and December was a good reading month. I started off my reading with 20 Girls? No, 20s Girl by Sophie Kinsella. This was I'd call it a rom-com, yeah, but it's a rom-com with a ghost. And a ghost who still dresses and pretty much acts like she's in the 1920s. This was a really fun read. I enjoyed it. I started reading romance for the first time in November, and I kind of continued picking up on those this month. And I'm gonna keep reading it into 2021. Oh, that's gonna take me forever to get right. It's a really fun read. I actually really like the romantic interest in this. And yeah, I would recommend. This is probably a solid 4 out of 5 for me. Next up, I had the Outlander book 1. So I listened to this on audiobook, and this is a 32-hour audiobook, I want to say. It's long. It is the longest audiobook that I have listened to. I have feelings about this one. It's not that I hated it. I enjoyed it for the most part. She had the perfect story structure for a book, and then it just kept going. I really wish that it had actually been split up into 2 books. I think it would have read much better, and it wouldn't have just felt so goddamn long. One thing I will say about this book: there is a lot of sexual assault or almost sexual assault or harassment in this book. There is so much of it. And I was fortunate that right after I started reading, one of my friends was like, hey, I love the series, but just so you know, this is a thing. From what I've heard, the TV show handles it a lot better and addresses it a lot better. But there is a lot of it, and it really ends up kind of feeling like a plot device anytime she needs to raise the stakes or make a situation difficult to get out of. It ends up having this sexual tint to it that I'm not a huge fan of. It was fine. It wasn't a bad read. It was a good read. It was just so long, and I wish we had had more things to raise the stakes other than assault. The next thing that I read, I love this book. The next thing that I read was The Hating Game, and this is the first contemporary romance novel that I picked up because of a booktuber's recommendation. Nicole Gallagher loved this book, and I read it because she talked about it so much, and now I understand why she loves it so much. This was such a fun read, and oh my god, it was the serotonin that I needed. It's so fun. It's an enemies to lovers. It's got workplace drama. It has the small town girl in a city type of dynamic. It's so good. It's so cute. Absolutely go read it. That's one of my solid, I want to get a physical copy of that book because I want to be able to reread it whenever I want. So next up we have Deviate. It's the second book in the Lifelike series by Jay Kristoff. It picks up within an hour of the first book ending. This one, we get much more focus on Lemon Fresh, who is the kind of sidekick character in the first book, and you get to look a lot deeper into her and what makes her tick and her fears and strengths. You also get to see a lot more about Ezekiel and what's important to him, and how his relationship and his thoughts and feelings towards Eve and towards Anna kind of fight against each other, and he has to figure out what this means in a context that he doesn't really have experience for. I really enjoyed it. I need to get the 3rd one from the library. I love this series. I love it. Next up, we have Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. This book, this is definitely an adult book. If anyone told you that this was a YA book, they are lying. It is so good. It is heavy, but it is so good. Now, this book actually does also involve sexual assault, but the way that it is addressed, and the part that it plays is done really well. It is unnerving and it's really gross at some points. So like if you're not comfortable with a discussion of like someone who is put on life support in order to be able to use their intestines for fortune telling and then like put everything back and stitch them up and then like have them heal and then they get discharged from the hospital all fine and dandy. If you're okay with that, you'll be fine. If you are not okay with that, do not go into this book because that is probably on kind of the lighter end of the descriptions. And it is marked as the Alex Stern #1. And the way that it ends, it's definitely set up for a second book. Oh, it's so good. I am starting to really enjoy Leigh Bardugo's work. My next book was Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco. This one was fine. It was enjoyable. I definitely, I really liked the beginning and I really liked the end. I think the middle gets kind of murky and a little unfocused, but this was definitely a good fun read. The second book in this series is, I think, Stalking Prince Dracula, and I'm curious kind of how it stacks up. Next up, I have The Shadows by Alex North. I read The Whisper Man in November, and then I read The Shadows in December. The Shadows wasn't as good, I don't think, as The Whisper Man. I love The Whisper Man dearly. The Shadows just doesn't have the same, it didn't make me jumpy or tense, really. It was still a really good story, and it's, I am always a sucker for a good, high school cult. But yeah, it was good. It was fun. I would make it a solid recommendation. Okay, my next read was The Beach Read, and again, this is one that Nicole Gallagher has talked about a lot, and I loved it. Oh, I loved it so much. It manages to hit all of those good, writer story vibes. It's got another enemies to lovers type situation-ish. And it was excellent. It was such a good time. I read it in 2 days. Absolutely. And the last book that I read in December was Fangs by Sarah Anderson, and this is a graphic novel. If you've seen it online, it's this adorable comic about a vampire and a werewolf that are in love, and it's so sweet. 5 out of 5. I'm gonna read that shit over and over again, and everyone should read it, and it's my heart, I love it. So yeah, that was everything that I read in December. I read 9 books. I'm gonna figure out the stats for them in terms of how many ebooks, audiobooks, female authors, male authors, etc. All of that when I'm editing, and I'll probably put it up here because that's something I'm paying attention to a lot more in 2021 than I did in 2020, which I'm gonna talk about when I eventually record my goals and stuff for 2021. Yeah, that'll come up sometime soon. Thank you so much for watching again, and hopefully I will have another video out soon, and hopefully I will see you there. Bye!